yes, Tesla has been delisted from the ESG 500 index, which makes no sense to me, but I'd love to get your point of view since Mr. Musk did tweet out that ESG is the devil. So Jocelyn, we'll give you proud of place here. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, you know what? It's the politicization of absolutely everything in our society. So if you're on the wrong team and you're supporting free speech, we're going to punish you through our ESG. And this is what keeps me up at night. It's no longer the market that drives it. It's a bunch of politicians, elites, that push their political view on absolutely everything. And the fact that they can delist Elon Musk should scare the bejesus out of everybody, I think.
Rick, what do you think when you heard that?
Well, the first thing I thought is, what a badge of honor that would be. Like, who wants to be part of that group anyway? As long as you can raise your capital through the public markets that you need to. I'm not sure, if some Norway fund doesn't want to invest in you. I'm sure that there's lots of other capital out there that'll invest in you since what drives capital is profits. And you know what? I agree with everyone on this panel. Profits are a good thing. Without profits, we don't get innovation. Without innovation, we wouldn't be talking to you today on the internet. We wouldn't have the vaccines we had to fight COVID. That all comes from profit, which creates innovation, which creates jobs. And if capital wants to make less money, well, so be it. But I think most capital will go to where they can make the most.
Yeah, Bryan, love to get your point of view on this. I mean, maybe it's not a big issue that Tesla was kicked out of the ESG 500 index. Maybe capital will find a way to invest, or do you think that capital control is coming?
So I differ a little bit from Rick. I do worry about capital control. I see my investors, they're under extreme pressure. I have visited my investors while protests have been going on outside. The pressure on them is immense to toe the line. And not to be too ominous here, but I see elements of 1936 in what's going on now in terms of control, not allowing people to speak their mind, and I'm deeply concerned more broadly than just on ESG. Right. But I see shadows of 1936 here.
So I'm going to bring it back to Jocelyn. I guess on one level, again, I'm trying to assess the damage this is creating. And, is this just a corporate greenwash standard that is the price you pay? Or is this something that is in particular for small businesses a worry? We were talking about global elites like World Economic Forum, the United Nations, what have you, setting these standards. I think, Jocelyn, you've been the most pointed on this in our broadcast. It's easy for large corporations to incorporate that into their vision statements or what have you. But for small businesses, this is a real issue. Please comment.
Yeah, 100%. It's a huge issue because, could you be restricted from capital because you're not towing the political line that they have decided is in the ESG? Could you be denied the ability to offer your goods and services to large corporations because you're not towing the line? And this is really about, let's face it, this is about command and control of not only the economy, but what we think, what we speak, and how we do business. And who wants that? Where has it ever worked where government picks the winners and losers, and it's just making corporations now adding on to them to pick the winners and losers? This is not the way we run a free market system.
Rick, I guess I'm going to bring it back to you. What should government be doing and what should they not be doing in this sphere?
Well, I'll pick up on what Jocelyn said, which is I think government does have a perfect record in that regard. It has a perfect record of actually not being able to pick winners on any shape or form in any industry. It is a colossal failure, particularly in my part of the world, in Atlantic Canada, where it's been tried many times. So I think, we've got to get government out of the way to allow the private sector to do what it does. And the markets will dictate to companies what they need to do. So I was being a little glib earlier, Bryan, about a badge of honor, but the reality is it is worrisome, and we need to make sure that we elect governments that can resist those global pressures to impose their own moral thoughts on business. As long as businesses are operating in the interest of the people that own them, that's what should drive our markets.